Okay, we're live, everybody. Welcome to the Purple Mountain Spiritual Centre's Facebook page from myself and from Chris. And we've invited Lewis Powell today. We're going to ask him a few questions about his spiritual work and the importance of healing within the world today. So hopefully it will be an interesting session today. I know that myself and Chris did a session a couple of days ago, which was quite successful. So I'd like to thank everybody, for myself and Chris, for the support and the love that you've been given to us at the Purple Mountain. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes just to get a few more people on, and then we'll get started. So do you want to say hi, Chris?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. It's going to be a very interesting evening, hopefully.
Very interesting. And say hi, Lewis.
Hello. I'm just sharing the video on my page. So.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. So the more we share it, I think just get that message out to everybody. I think it's a fantastic way to share some of your knowledge, Lewis, and share some of your philosophy and teaching. I think it'll be fantastic. So we've got a few on now, Lewis. Do you want to tell everybody? I think it would be really, really good to let everybody know a little bit about your spiritual journey or a little bit about yourself. I think it would be great to sort of interact with the audience in that way.
Yeah, sure. So, I work with medicines, like you know that I work with Kambo and also other plant medicines as well. And I started on this journey when it all started around 2010. I went through a bit of a spiritual awakening, so to speak, when I was going through a difficult phase of my life. Yeah, and my soul was searching for this path. Obviously, at the time, I didn't quite understand where that was going to go, but it started off with like I came from like quite a difficult 5 years prior to that. I was moving through like unhealthy lifestyle choices, crime and drugs, and it was like it seems worlds away now, but that's the sort of life I was immersed in, and I was just I was getting in trouble with the police. I was like always things were just going wrong for me all the time, and I just knew that if I carried on the way I was going, I was either going to end up dead or in prison. So it was like I had to find something else, and I did DMT for the first time. I don't know if you've heard of that before. It's the active component that's in ayahuasca. And I did DMT in 2010 for the first time. And that was my first actual encounter with spirit. And that was the first time I've ever actually been, acknowledged that there was a spiritual realm out there. And I was, when I first did this, I was greeted by 4 of my guides. They were there, and they were like, they've been with me for many lifetimes before, and it just felt so so welcoming and so familiar. The space that I entered, and these guys just felt like I'd known them, since the beginning of time. Anyway, these guys were telling me that I need to believe in myself, and that I was going to take on board this huge spiritual journey, and that's kind of like where it all started, to be honest with you. And then it was after that things started opening up for me, like rapidly. So it was a couple of years later that I decided that I wanted to try, and I had the call, like I was being guided towards going to the Peru or the jungle to learn and to work with ayahuasca. So at that time, I had quite a lot of physical health problems and also mental health problems as well. I had, quite bad anxiety and depression, and I had a lot of internal health problems as well. I had like ulcerative colitis and IBS and lots of different digestive issues. So I was on a healing journey as well at that point. So it was like I knew that I needed to improve my health, and I needed to heal myself. So my journey was pretty much transitioning out from an old life and healing myself, but also learning the tools that I need to learn to become a healer as well. So I actually then participated in an ayahuasca ceremony in Milan for the first time in 2013, end of 2013. And then I was then I had an experience where I was shown like my entire life, just in like these like flashes. It was like the typical, you know, when you hear about like people having like a near-death experience or something.
Yeah.
I had a life review, and it was like showing me all of the things and all of the, you know, the mistakes that I'd made and the lessons that I'd learned from it. It's just like so fast. And then it was showing me that what I'm gonna do in this life is I'm gonna work with these medicines. And I was just like, wow. At the time, I'd only just managed to get myself a job. Before that, I wasn't really working. I was much more involved in like crime and drugs and things like that. But then I was working in a factory. So I was getting myself on the straight and narrow, but I still wasn't on my path. So So then, obviously after that experience, I was like, Jesus, where do I go with this? You know, I'm like, you know, I'm still working in this factory and I'm being told by the medicine that I'm going to be, you know, working with it. So obviously then I had to take the steps to align with, you know, how this is going to unfold. So it was during that another couple of year period where I was having to transition from this like working life to this full-on spiritual life. So I was lots of different things started falling into place. I was then offered like a redundancy kind of like payoff. It wasn't a proper redundancy. It was kind of like a mutual agreement where I was offered money to leave the job because of a workplace injury that I had. So luckily I had some money behind me and I was able to then, you know, start making the steps to where I am now. So it was during that time that I experienced Kambo for the first time. So I was actually in Portugal and I was staying at somebody's property there where they were holding retreats, working with like ayahuasca and Kambo and things like that. And they were also doing the first Kambo training program there in Europe. So I was then participating in a number of different Kambo ceremonies while I was there. So I got to experience Kambo for the first time while I was in Portugal. And I also got to meet the people that were doing the training as well. So I then did a Kambo treatment from one of the practitioners that had recently passed in the UK. So when I come back to the UK, I invited one of these practitioners to come and do like a small Kambo ceremony for us. And it was at that point that I realized that Kambo was going to be a primary tool that I was going to work with, because one of my friends that was there, he was in a, you know, he was quite badly depressed at the time, and things were just going wrong for him, you know, in and out of work, things were just going constantly wrong for him. And he did Kambo for the first time, and after that one Kambo treatment, he completely transformed, and I've never experienced anything like that since. So, you know, to see somebody who I knew for a long time completely changed after one treatment, I was like, this is this is a medicine. At first, I believed that ayahuasca was going to be the main thing that I was going to work with. But seeing that, I was like, wow. You know, because I experienced Kambo, but I experienced them when I was on a retreat working with lots of other different medicines as well, like ayahuasca. I was working with San Pedro, peyote, all of these different medicines we were working with in the same couple of weeks that I was there. So it was hard for me to pinpoint exactly what was doing what, if that makes sense. When I came home, and then I give that, and then this practitioner that I met give my friend a Kambo treatment, and then I seen the difference in him. That was when, straight away, I just got in touch with the woman who was doing the training course, and I said, "Can I train?" And she was like, "Yeah." So it was the year after that I decided to do the training for Kambo. And then I still had this calling to go to the jungle. So the following year after that, I thought, well, I'm gonna dedicate myself to learning about ayahuasca. But that was a whole different ballgame. I actually thought, like, oh yeah, Kambo training, this is great. You know, I'm being taught how to apply medicine. I'm being taught how to keep people safe. You know, pretty much, very much grounded practices. To, you know, as in regards to a Kambo treatment, but when it comes to ayahuasca, I was like, oh no, this is a whole nother ballgame. I think at the time I still had pretty intact ego. And I think my ego was like, yeah, you know, kind of like, yeah, you can do this, you know, let's go to the jungle. You'll stay there for a month and you'll come back and then you'll be like, you know, a master. And boy, was I wrong, you know. I went there and I asked as well. I actually when I got there, my intention was, I am open to learning whatever it is, or going through whatever it is that I need to go through to enable me to be what I need to be. So, and they do say, you know, you have to be careful what you ask for, because I kind of like.
Yeah, we know that very well.
We've experienced that too.
So I kind of did get there. So when I got to Peru, I ended up trying to find somebody to teach me, and I was recommended to a center to go to by somebody who I knew. Well, it was a bit naive, really, because that person hadn't actually been to the center; they just heard about it. So I kind of went there, you know, without any real solid recommendations. So,
wow.
So when I went there and I managed to find these two elderly shamans, or they don't call them shamans in Peru, they call them maestros, which is like translation to masters. And they work with, you know, they've been working with the plants for a long time, you know, most of their life. So I was very, you know, when I seen these people, I was like, oh, this is great. You know, these elderly people, they're going to, you know, have lots of wisdom and they're going to teach me. And yeah, but they did teach me, but not in the way that I expected. So I can kind of like, I'll go into it a little bit. So when I arrived there, I was quite, you know, blown away that, you know, that these elderly people were so strong and solid. Like one of them was like in his late 90s, the maestro. And there was a lady shaman, maestro, her name was Alejandrina. She was in her 80s, but they were like, they were just, you know, solid. And I thought these people were going to be the ones that were going to, you know, teach me in a loving way and, you know, explain to me the secrets of the plants and all of that. But actually, what it turned out that they were what they call brujos. They were working with darker forces.
Yeah.
And they were putting a lot of black magic on me while I was there. They were weaving into me a lot of fear. And it was actually the perfect initiation for me, because everything that I've learned over them couple of years that I spent going through this crisis, that this black magic that was put onto me triggered.
Yeah.
It was through that experience that I was able to understand that. And now, understanding that, I can see how that plays out in society, and how I can see how that plays out on a global level as well by, you know, certain people. So it was an initiation to be able to go through that. And at the time, obviously, I felt like I was a victim to it, you know, and that was difficult for me, because it's hard for me to get out. It was hard for me to get out of it, and you know, I had experiences where like there was you know, these forces getting into my head, and like these forces were convincing me that I was going to die, I was going to go insane, and the world was going to end. So it was like, and you know, now what I believe is that, you know, if we create, you know, our reality, and if enough people believe that the world is going to end, you know, then that is it's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Spot on there, yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, so I had this experience with this black magic, and and you know, I'm not even going to go right into it because I could write a book on it. You know, it's difficult. I came back from the jungle that year. I managed to stay for the whole month because I thought I need to ride this out, and you know, this is what I'm here to do. But then when I got home, I was experiencing episodes of psychosis for on and off for a few months. I found it very difficult for me to function.
Really?
I was very ungrounded after that, because what was happening to me, I was divided in myself, in my belief, because my intuition was guiding me and it was telling me what was really happening, but then my mind was going with the illusions that were being placed onto me by these people. Yeah. So I was torn, because a part of me really wanted to believe that these people were trying to help me, but actually the truth behind it all was that they weren't. They were trying to distract me from doing what I was doing. Now, whether that was their personal agenda or whether that was the agenda of some forces beyond these people, I'm not sure. But either way, it caused me to be divided within myself, and that's what was causing me the biggest problems, because it was like an internal battle. And I knew that if I don't go back there and face these fears that I've got, if I don't go back there and see for sure, because it was over the time I was building up this like inner sort of this intuition seemed to be like growing in me more, and it was like, no, this is what's happening. No, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And there's a part of me saying, no, you know, this is what you need. You know, these people are just, you know, testing you and things like that. So I was so confused. And then I planned to go back. So I went back again the next year to the same place. And it was then that I realized, I knew straight away, because as soon as when I went back into the ceremonies again with these same people, they were doing the same stuff to me. They were weaving the same energies into the space, these dark energies. I could feel it like coming and try and take me away. And I was like, and then I learned in the second time I went there how to stand my ground, and I was able to stop them doing it. So it was like a battle going on every ceremony, but then in the end they give up and they left. Both of them left. In fact, one of them got really ill, and then I found out a couple of months after she died, and then the other one never came back again, and no one's seen him. So,
wow, amazing story that, Lewis.
Yeah. So, like, it was then that I realized, wow, you know, I'm in complete control of my energy. You know, nobody else is able to manipulate my energy if I don't allow them to. So that was how I managed to anchor in my own true self and my own, you know, inner light. Because when you're in your true self and you're in this inner light of truth, none of these illusions that people are trying to spin onto you can work.
Absolutely.
So the fantastic thing around it all was me going through this experience is that right now we're being subjected to illusions coming from the media, coming from some conspiracy theories, left, right, and center. We're bombarded with all this confusing energy. None of this affects me anymore. So I'm immune to it.
You're free. Yeah, you're free from it.
Yeah, I'm immune to it, you know. And I'm not trying to say that I know all the answers, and you know, I'm not trying to say that, you know, oh, this is what the truth is behind everything that's going on and things like that. Yeah. Because honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But what I do know is that I won't be subjected to any form of manipulation.
But in a way, you've had to learn that, didn't you? You had to learn between light and dark. And I think it prepared you for being the healer and the shaman work that you're doing now. I think it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is, because it was all these experiences that I was able to connect with my guides. I was like, so I was going through this crisis. It's like a typical psycho-spiritual crisis, because my ego mind, you know, it's only really the ego mind that can be affected by these illusions. I was able to then separate myself from that and then connect with my guides, you know, and also my, you know, my higher self. So there was lots and lots of different challenges as well after, you know, these experiences that I had in the jungle. There was like constant lessons and teaching, you know, trials. I went through trials after trials after trials. people turning against me, and I just couldn't understand why, you know, and I was like, what is going on? Why are all these people turning against me? And also there was this deep issue that I had inside of myself that, you know, all of this hard work that I'm doing, why is nobody acknowledging this? You know, I was thinking, I was like, I just want somebody to say, well done, you know, well done. You know, you've cracked it. You've done this. And you know what? I never got it. I never got it from anywhere. And I wanted to, and I was speaking to people, even lots of different people that I'd worked with in the past that I looked up to. And I was like, you know, somebody, you know, tell me what's going on, or somebody, you know, guide me. And every time I'd look outside of myself for somebody to give me some advice, I'd always get took on a diversion, or there'd always be more seeds of illusions that other people's projections, you know, of what's happening to me. And then I'd end up, the minute I'd start believing them projections from other people, it started affecting me in a negative way. And I was like, wow, you know, no, the only person that's going to tell me that I'm on the right path is me.
Spot on.
There's nobody else that can say to you. I think what it is we're coming out of this old paradigm of the age of the guru. You know, it's that we don't need a guru anymore. We are our own inner gurus. We've got all of the guidance from up above and all of the guidance from within ourselves and connection to earth. We don't need anybody else to tell us what to do. And this is happening. You know, this is what we're going through collectively right now as well. We're experiencing times where people are so confused, but they're in that. It's very fertile ground for people to be able to break free from needing to depend on like our governments and things like that to tell us what's safe and what we can and what we can't do and what we need to put into our bodies. You know, when, you know, we could fall into that trap of needing, relying on external support, or we could reclaim our power and then become, you know, the true sovereign beings that we all are.
Absolutely. So true that. So true.
I think a lot of people be able to relate to when they're on the spiritual path as well, when they begin to find changes and find something that's so overwhelming, and we find the people around us might change. And we did. I've been through that. I know, Stephen, you might be the same, where you look to that mission and it's not there, but you've got to just know it's right. So I think that'll speak to so many people.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that in terms of not in a judgmental way to our centre with our services. There's such a reliance on the medium will tell me what to do and how to lead my life, and actually that's all changing. And spirit want to change that. Where what do you think? Trust in your intuition. Trust in your inner compass. You be guided by your own power, your own light, and that's what we're trying to awaken people to do that. You know, I think that's so important.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what, you know, everything that's going on now is it's eerily similar to my own personal initiation that I went through during these difficult times that we spoke about just then. So like, you know, I had this experience where it was like, you know, there was these illusions trying to come into my mind to, you know, telling me that the world was going to end. And, you know, for a period of time, I was convinced that was what was going to happen. So that's what was causing these like psychotic moments. I was like, wow, you know, the world's going to end and things like that. But then actually, when I remember that experience, it's eerily similar to kind of like collectively what's playing out now.
Yeah.
Like on humanity, like, you know, it's kind of like an end time scenario, isn't it? It's like, you know, we could, you know, and we are kind of being led into this like dystopian sort of society, you know, where we need our government to save us. But actually, how I see this now is an initiation for humanity, and the reason that I personally had to go through this initiation myself was so then that I could be an anchor for people during these times that we're in right now.
Wow, I think that's absolutely fabulous the way you explain that. I think a lot of people that we've come across in our spiritual work have had, I mean, you've had your initiation, you talked a bit about, you know, your upbringing, and a lot of people have had quite different, I know on a personal, I've had a very difficult upbringing, and a lot of people have as well in spiritual movement. So in a way, it's part of their initiation into the work a little bit as well. life's not all bed of roses and everything's perfect, is it?
No. But yeah, like the thing, yeah, just like you say, it's everybody has to go through initiations to be able to reach the truth. Because the thing is, what it is that prevents us from, having constant growth and enlightenment and bliss and enjoying a beautiful life is the illusions that we all hold. And that, the most important thing that I learn and that I feel like I need to teach to people is that there is really only there's two kind of driving forces behind everything, behind all energy. And that is truth, which brings, growth. It brings fulfillment, joy, love, expansion, awareness, clarity. And then there's illusions, which brings stagnation, disease, fear, and all of the, the sort of the polar opposite to that, the shadow realms. And it's we are all just pure. We're just pure energy. We're just pure energy and light. But the imbalances that we carry are all caused by illusionary forces. And it's actually that simple. It's actually that simple because if we knew the truth, the absolute pure truth about ourself and the traumas and the imbalances that we carry, we wouldn't hold these traumas anymore.
That's very true.
It's illusionary beliefs that keep them in place. And the thing is, it's like, we have that, you've probably seen the yin and the yang, the yin and the yang. You understand that sort of like the polarity.
Yeah.
We do live in a dualistic nature, a dualistic reality. And I don't like the term good and evil.
Yeah.
I don't really like to use that, and I don't really like the dark and light. The way that I see it is truth and illusion. Like it's just the two kind of things. But you need the illusion there for you to teach you the truth.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that when some people might get confused, like, well, how do I find the truth? Because people are looking for the truth outside. And if you're looking for the truth outside, it's like you're opening yourself up to illusion. You're opening yourself up that somebody else's illusions are, and there might even be little hidden bits of truth in people's illusions as well, which is even more confusing. But the truth comes from within. I like someone that's just put there, illusion is ego. Yeah, someone just put a little post up there, a little comment. Illusion is ego. That's true. It is. And it's only the ego that can be affected by illusion. The thing is, our true self can't be affected by illusion. And this is kind of like what I learned. I'm going back to what I said earlier on, that, the way that this, these sorcerers in the jungle were like spinning illusions onto me. Because that's how it works. It's like spinning onto me illusions. And if I took that on and believed it was real, it would grow inside of me and it would make me ill, or could even possibly kill me. And then, once you can align with your true self, the truth acts as like a weapon, or like a shield for you.
Yeah.
So if you align with your own truth, you don't have to. This is what some people get confused with. They think that you have to find the truth, or you have to prove a truth, But that's just all mind, But the actual real truth is just align with our energy and our own true self, and that will guide us, but not in a way that it'll guide us like where it's going to show us or write something down for you on a piece of paper. It'll guide us, or it will guide us through our intuition.
Yeah,
it's not like a logical truth. Isn't like a logical thing. So.
That's brilliant. I want to ask you another one, because I think you sort of touched upon it before earlier on with your answer about, I think there's a lot of confusion, I feel, in the spiritual movement, with a lot of people ask us about reincarnation, and I think you sort of hit it nail on the head there. You sort of said, well, I know why I'm here, I'm here to do the healing work. I'm here to anchor people. And I think, so you are in your own power. So what advisement do you have to other people to find their own purpose, to understand their own purpose? Because there's so many people say, I don't know why I'm here. What am I doing here on this earth? So what advisement can you give to people?
The best advice that I would give to people is to find the things that are not true to them. So it's that there's so many people that carry beliefs from when they were young, like, from very young, and a lot of these belief systems are implanted into us from our parents or from society, expectations, programming from TV and things like that. So people want it. I think the biggest problem that people face with finding the true selves is looking for their true selves in somebody else. Okay, so wanting to be something else, and not believing in themselves and things like that. And I know it's not an easy thing to sort of just overcome like that. But what I would advise people to do is to try and find, because the thing is, when you're stuck in illusions, what will happen is you'll go around in cycles. You probably heard the wheel of samsara or karma.
Yeah.
It's just illusionary cycles that keep us stuck in suffering. Okay, so what I would advise people to do is first of all, is just being kind to yourself. Really, being kind to yourself. It will enable your true self to come further up come closer to the surface. But then when people want to take it a little bit further and they really do want to take this path seriously, then you have to constantly observe yourself. You have to constantly observe the patterns and question yourself, is this belief system that I have about myself true? Like when we say to ourselves, oh, I'm not good enough to do that. I'm not good enough to do that. Well, are you not good enough to do that? Or is it just a belief that you carry because somebody's once told that to you? You have to constantly peel away the illusions that we've picked up through our life, and a lot of it is just learned behavior. But it takes time. It takes commitment. It's not an easy path. It's so much easier for us to follow illusion and then to fall into the same traps because the ego becomes comfortable with it. It's a lot more comfortable to stay in the illusion than it is to fight the illusion and find our truth. Because to fight, we actually have to align with our truth comes constant trials. We're we're being tested all the time. And then the thing is, you might think that you've dealt with something. Oh, I've dealt with that, and then something will come back, and then it'll pull you straight back into the same cycle.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, it's like that. It's the illusions are just so easy to follow. They're tempting. Are very tempting. And what happens when you fall into that is that you'll go back into the same cycles of like self-defeat or whatever it is these patterns might be. But there's lots of different patterns that you can fall into. And but I mean, everybody, the mind, even the brain will program. The brain will program these patterns deep into your, into your actual brain. The way that your synapses fire up. It's easier for us to go with the same path that's been playing out, for most of our lives than it is to go against that. So you can understand the struggle to sort of like change that. It's not like something that can just that just happens overnight. It takes commitment. It takes. I like to use the word spiritual muscle. Because it's something that to align with your true self, it takes a little bit of working.
Yeah.
To get that strength to keep yourself in your true energy, rather than swayed by the illusion. Because it's like I say, it's so deeply ingrained. But what I find is that the medicines, this is and. Why I'm so grateful to work with them, because they are amazing tools to be able to break free from these unhealthy patterns that are keeping us stuck and away from our true purpose. So yeah, like Kambo can be super effective at helping us to break free from patterns. Anybody that said that they felt like, you know, they're stuck in a rut, you heard that's
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
it's like, you know, nothing's going right. You're going around the same cycles and the same patterns over and over again. Well, Kambo really does give us that ability to be able to break free from that. But then even still, after Kambo, you still have to do the work. You still have to, you know, you have to consciously see these patterns, observe them for what they are, because even though we've separated ourselves from them, and we feel that we're free from them, in the collective consciousness, in the quantum field, they're still there, you know, and it's very possible for us to go straight back into it again. So Kambo is a great tool because I believe that Kambo does align us with our true selves, and it clears our energy, clears our aura, so we're able to then witness and see these patterns that were once deeply ingrained in us from a distance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. The other question, I mean, just touching on there, do you think then, sort of, with obviously you've worked with a lot of patients, worked with a lot of people in the Kambo and the ayahuasca in now. Do you think a lot of trauma with people have started in the childhood? That a lot of it begins in childhood, and that's where we have to take a lot of people back to that period. Do you think, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe that most imbalances within people, most traumas begin in childhood. You know, usually at quite an early age, because, you know, we heavily depend on our parents when we're young. You know, we need them to nurture us and to you know, to enable us to you know, to develop. And if we are taking on our parents' trauma because they're projecting that onto us, then, or we have been well, usually what happens when it comes to like trauma, and, you know, especially when it comes to things like abuse, is that usually that it's all the parents that have also been abused in the past, and the pattern is, the karma is kind of like they have experienced abuse, and then there will be an abuser, and then the child will be abused, and then it's possible that they could go into that role of being an abuser as well. Or, you know, it's a lot of it can be passed down from parents, but also I believe that it can be from a lot of traumas and things that can come from societal expectations. But most of the time, it actually comes from our parents, and it can start off as a seed, and you might not, you know, that seed might not, you know, present itself we might not experience the negative effects of that trauma until later life.
It's within your subconscious, isn't it? It's there, and it will grow, won't it? I mean, a silly thing like my mum was frightened of the dentist, and she imprinted that on me, and since then I've been frightened of the dentist. So it's that imprint, fear, that illusion.
Yeah.
What have I got to be fearful for? You know. So I don't know. Do you want to pass on? I'm going to pass on to Chris now. Do you want to maybe ask Lewis about Kambo and stuff like that? I think that'll be fantastic for people.
Yeah, just a couple of questions will come into mind. Just when you spoke about your journey and some physical issues you were having, how soon during the process of these experiences you were having did you start to really shift things and recognize what you needed to change? For example, you mentioned about IBS and things like that, and to improve that.
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So actually, my physical health problems I'd had from a young age. So I remember first getting like digestive problems when I was young. Well, I wasn't really young. I think I was probably about 8 years old. I think I was. I think that was the first time I can remember getting like indigestion, like heartburn and things like that, and problems. And throughout my teenage years, it was getting worse. You know, at the time I was putting it down to unhealthy, I don't know, maybe unhealthy lifestyle choices or diet and things like that. And I ended up going to the doctors anyway, and I was taking medication for about 12 years. I was on medication for, and longer actually. I think it might have been a little bit longer. But I was taking acid suppressant medication.
Wow.
Which I believe, so I was taking that for you're only meant to take this for a couple of weeks, and the doctor put me on it for permanently. And the doctor told me as well that I'll never be able to get off them as well. He said, you'll always have to take them. Which isn't true, obviously, because I'm not taking anything now. But so what happened? These digestive problems started to they were getting worse, and I was trying everything. I was trying everything that I could to try and fix that as I got older. And I tried all these different diets. I went full on vegan. I tried the gluten-free diets. I tried cutting out nitrates and like tomatoes and things. I tried everything, and nothing was working at all. Like I even got to the point where I was like, I had like a cupboard full of supplements. So I was taking every single supplement that you could possibly think of under the sun to try and, help. So, and some of the supplements were easing the symptoms. But then what would happen is that I would then eat something that I was not allowed to eat on the diet that I was on. And then the symptoms would flare up, and then I'd get, it'd get a lot worse.
Yeah.
So I was going through this cycle. There was a cycle going on there, there's a pattern playing out. And I was like, what is this?
It's like a loop.
and I just didn't get the answer for a long time. And it was actually mushrooms. I don't believe it was the mushrooms that healed it. It was the mushrooms that taught me how to heal it myself. So I just sat there and I had mushrooms, and I asked the mushrooms out, because I was getting this discomfort in my stomach after I'd taken them. And I just said, what is this? What is this, disease in my body? When I say disease, it is, a dis-ease in the body, and it was causing me actual physical problems. And I asked, what is this disease? And then these words came up, like proper bold text. It just said guilt. And I was like, guilt? And I thought, how's guilt like causing this?
Yeah.
And then I sat with it for a little while, and I could feel like all this gargling going on in my stomach, and like tension being released as I was like, experiencing the disease in my body as an emotion. And as I was able to I was like forgiving myself. I was just forgiving myself. I could feel it all just like unwinding. So what I did when I got home after that, I was like, guilt. And I thought, yeah, that's right. Because whenever I'd eat something, I'd feel guilty. Like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like I can't eat that because it's against this diet that I'm doing. I must be doing something wrong. So then that's what was feeding this disease in my body. So then I decided to throw away all of the supplements that I had. I threw every single last pill that I had, all of my medication, just threw it all away. And I was like, do you know what? From now on, I'm going to eat and I'm going to do what I want, and I'm not going to feel guilty for it. And then after a couple of months, it was completely healed. And then like I did I was doing Kambo treatment as well, because I did feel like I had a lot of a really unhealthy microbiome, inside. I could feel that there was an imbalance there. So that I was doing like colon cleansing and Kambo, and I was doing having probiotics and things like that. And so I was able to then heal the rest of my imbalances through the diet. But what was actually the cause of the disease was guilt. And then there was I worked with ayahuasca after that to try and go deeper into it, to try and get to the roots of it and to see where this came from. And I was took back to being a child and always being told off. So as a child, I felt like I was guilty. And it kind of showed me as well, the ayahuasca showed me that all of the times that I'd been in trouble with the police and things like that when I was growing up, and being in trouble in school. And I was just I had this resonance inside of me of being guilty for something.
You're carrying that, weren't you?
I was carrying it, and then I was getting myself into trouble in school. So what was happening in this pattern? I was setting myself up So then I'd feel guilty and then I'd be punished. And if I wasn't getting punished by somebody else, I was punishing myself. So that was this deep pattern. And it was so when we were talking before about, you know, how you can align with your true self, was observing this illusion, because it was an absolute illusion. But because we are such powerful creators, I actually created this illness within myself, and I created these experiences that I was having. Everything that I'd experienced in getting in trouble in school, getting in trouble with the police, then punishing myself, being all started from when I was made to feel as a child that I was doing something wrong. So that's so it started off as a seed was planted when I was younger for feeling like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from.
Just shows you it's incredible. And I think it's a lot of people now more than ever seem to be suffering with digestion problems or stomach issues. And a lot of people we meet, Steve, as well, aren't they? So I'm sure that'll help a lot of people. Just for anybody that doesn't know, that's watching, about Kambo, would you be able to sort of explain what it is, and can anybody have Kambo as well? Do you have to have an initiation, or can you go straight into it? A few people are asking.
The great thing is about Kambo is how effective it is for such a short experience, really, because you can be in and out of a Kambo treatment within 40 minutes and then feel absolutely fine afterwards. Sometimes you might feel a little bit tired afterwards and things like that, but you don't have to go through a whole night of psychedelic, you know, trauma diving. You know, it's like with ayahuasca, you have to go, you know, you have to do an all-night journey of it. Whereas with Kambo, you can have it, and then you could, you know, you could go to work later on in the day if you wanted to. You know, it's that I like the way that Kambo is so accessible for anybody, really. You know, well, when I say anybody, there is contraindications, of course. There's people that can't take Kambo for certain health reasons, like if somebody has, you know, heart diseases, or they've had like stroke, or they've got serious mental health problems, or you know, if someone had like medicated low blood pressure, or you know, if somebody was pregnant and things like that, you know. So there is certain people who can't take Kambo.
Yeah.
But from, you know, my experience with working with Kambo is I see how intelligent that medicine is. And like, I see like ayahuasca as like a teacher. She shows us how to heal ourselves. She shows us how to heal ourselves. But whereas Kambo, it kind of does it for us. It's like a surgeon. I see the spirit of the frog as like a surgeon. It kind of just gets into where it needs to go. And the person who's receiving the medicine doesn't really need to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
With ayahuasca, you kind of really have to know what, you know, you get shown and presented with things. Yeah, of course, the medicine does purge out distorted energies that we have, like ayahuasca can do that, but Kambo really does get in there, and it cleans out our wounds. And like, I want to explain a little bit about this, just so people are clear on what I mean by this. Is the way that the way I see Kambo working on a spiritual level is that it clears away distortion. And how I would explain what distortion is it's energy that's polluted by illusions. Okay, because when we accept illusion in our being, it becomes distortion. It distorts our pure energy, and it takes it with illusion. So then it becomes like a disease. You know, it might not be a disease that has manifested physically yet, but within our being, it's a disease. So what Kambo does is it clears away the distortion, and then what it can, because it's distortion that's kind of like, it's like how can I describe it? Let's say, for example, if you cut your arm open and then you didn't clean the wound, it wouldn't heal, would it? It would become infected, or maybe get worse. That's kind of like what happens on the spiritual level as well, is that is that, or an energetic level, emotional level, however you want to look at it, is that when we have a trauma, what happens is it collects more and more distortion, so more and more illusions, and it gets deeper. The schism that's within us gets deeper. Now, what Kambo does, it kind of like goes into the wounds and it cleans out, and it enables it to be it enables the wound to be exposed to truth, the light of truth that's within us, and then that truth will then enable us to heal.
Yeah.
So Kambo clears away it cleans away the things that are infecting the inner wounds, and then enables us to go through a natural healing process that can take place over the next few days, weeks after Kambo. So on a spiritual level, that's how I see it, how it works. But there is science behind Kambo and how it works on a physical level. So on a physical level, it has like these peptides in it that perform specific functions within the body. What peptides are is they're like short chain amino acids. So they're basically like building blocks of life. Peptides are what enable, neuropeptides are what enable neurotransmitters in the brain to work properly, and they can affect, like say for example, endorphins. They make us feel good. They make the brain function better. Then your endorphins and neuropeptides, and that all that is actually in Kambo is peptides and some alkaloids. That's all that's in it. It's not even a toxic substance. So there is science behind Kambo on how it works, and it does detox. It does detoxify us. You two have both experienced Kambo before. And you can almost taste the toxicity, can't you, coming out of your body?
Yeah.
So that's how Kambo kind of works from my experience.
I'll just show her on the thing there. She says, "Does everyone vomit when they take Kambo?"
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the body will expel the toxins, however way that it feels easiest to do so. So, not everybody vomits. Most people will. Not everybody does vomit though. Some people, it will pass through the back exit. So it might be possible that you might need to take a trip to the toilet. But some people just sweat. And sometimes I've seen it before where people will just have an emotional release for the whole time. They'll just like have tears and things like that.
So do you want to let everybody know how it's administered and what Kambo actually is?
Yeah, so Kambo is a secretion from an Amazonian tree frog called the Philomedusa bicolor, or the Kambo frog. It's also known as sapo in some other cultures, and it's been used for a long time by the many different tribes in the Amazon. So just so everybody knows as well that none of the frogs are harmed in any way when the medicine is harvested from them. The frogs kind of like are very friendly towards humans, and they do actually they come down from the trees because they live up in the trees. You see, and they come down from the trees. If they were like if the frogs felt like that they were being captured, then they wouldn't keep coming back down. There's a relationship that the tribal people have there with these frogs that's unquestionable, really. It's and the tribal people who live so close to nature know the implications of upsetting the spirits of the forest. So they tend to take care in what it is that they're doing with these frogs. But the way that it's administered is via a small burn in the skin. So it's applied. The top layer of skin is removed, and the secretion is then applied to that to the skin, so it can be absorbed through the lymphatic system. And then what happens is, after a couple of minutes, is the body starts to show some effects, and some of them effects could be like the heart rate increase. Sometimes people's lips can swell up a little bit. Sometimes you might start to feel tingling in the hands and the feet, in the face. And then usually after a couple of minutes, people will be we'll be purging. I don't really like to use the word being sick, because actually what's happening is we're not being sick, we're actually getting better. Like if we're being sick, it's because we're sick. But actually Kambo isn't, it's not making us sick, it's making us better. So I call it, like, I like to use the word purge instead, because we're purging out things that could be potentially making us sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of, the best thing to do is to drink water before you have it, because it makes the process a lot smoother. There is some communities that work with Kambo where they don't use any water, but I think it's good to use water before. But generally speaking,
without water.
That sounds tough.
Generally speaking, you can have a Kambo treatment from start to finish, and within 2 hours you'll be ready to go home and carry on doing what you do the rest of the day. So
I think there's that tremendous feeling as well when you do purge. You really recognise, different to being sick. When you do purge in the treatment, you really feel that it's gone that you want to get rid of.
Yeah.
I've instantly felt it, just that lift of,
yeah.
Well, you've done it, you've released it, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Kambo can really get to places that would be almost impossible to get to through just therapy alone.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to tell people a little bit about ayahuasca? Do you think that'll be good, or?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, ayahuasca's being used for. Well, we don't even know how long it's been used for, because the tribal communities that work with it, don't keep records of things like that, so we don't know how long it's been used for. But ayahuasca is basically a combination of two different plants. One of the plants is the carpi plant, Banisterius carpi, something like that, and and it's that plant that activates another plant. So that plant is what's linked to the earth and the mother healing energy. And the other plant, which could be a number of different DMT containing plants, is what opens up and connects us to the divine. So it's this combination of the two plants together that creates this beautiful healing medicine. And I think it's incredible how the people that discovered this knew that these two plants, because there's that many different plants in the Amazon, how they managed to discover that these two plants together were going to create this medicine. This completely profoundly life-changing, it can facilitate profoundly life transformative experiences, so basically how Kambo works, ayahuasca works, it is like what we call a psychedelic or entheogenic medicine, and it was the way that it works is it works as like a teacher. It's like it shows us, it can show us the way, it can guide us and lead us towards our path.
Yeah.
And it can also show us, it can enable us to get into places within our mind where there's memories that have been locked away. Because what happens sometimes is that we create these protective mechanisms to try and block out trauma that we haven't dealt with, which is quite clever, really. It's quite a clever self-defense mechanism that the brain has. Our brains are very, very, very important tools, because they do help us. It's for survival and for, cognitive functions that we need. And like what can happen is, if we've had a trauma, the brain then can create like protective mechanisms to stop us having to deal with that, so we can get on with our life. Because if we've experienced like quite a lot of trauma in our life, we don't want to be constantly having to, to feel that emotion or pain. So what happens is we push it away, and we block out a lot of memories around it. Now, what ayahuasca can do is it can take you into these traumas, and it can show it. Sometimes it might put you through it, like sometimes it might make you experience it. Sometimes you might feel like you're going, you're reliving these experiences. but you're reliving it so you can see the truth behind it, and you can then set yourself free from it. So yeah, that's kind of how I experience it, how it works. But when it's really important, I'm glad that you brought this up, because quite a lot of people lately are searching out somewhere to do this, and I think I want to give advice to people that, especially through my, even though now the experience I had in the jungle, I'm grateful for, I still wouldn't want anybody to have to experience that if they didn't have to, if they don't need to. So it's really, 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 really important that you resonate with the person that you're sitting with. Okay.
Very, very important. That very important.
If you get any kind of like bad vibe about somebody that that's offering this to you, or if you have, if your intuition tells you any, if there's any little, even slightest little thing that you're not sure about that person, then don't do it. Because the problem is, in the world of medicine now, is that there are people who are corrupted by illusionary forces, and these people can come across very much in their light. They can come across very much approachable. They can come across very pleasant, but actually underneath that, sometimes they could be very manipulative people. And if somebody isn't operating from a place of pure truth when they are facilitating an ayahuasca experience, everybody that's in that ceremony has opened themselves up to them energies. So the person who is holding the space for these ceremonies, they are a channel and a medium for any other energies that are around that person. So if somebody is unaware of it, or they are serving these other energies, or them other energies are serving them in some way, then it can be a dangerous thing. It can be very dangerous for somebody to go into a ceremony with somebody who didn't have the best intentions. And
very interesting.
And I actually, now I told you about my experience in the jungle with these, they called them brujos. These people that I was working with there, they actually, I do feel for them, because they have had a lot of trauma through white people over the years. It was almost genocide to the Shipibo people, in the early 1900s, things like that. They were, slaughtered. And they have a lot of deep, deep, deep wounds there, and all this resentment that is, can be projected out onto other people to cause them harm, and these people are using forces, illusionary forces, witchcraft and spells and things like that, to purposefully harm people, and they get paid to do it. So the difference is over there is that these people know how to work with these forces to do harm to people. They know how to do it. All right, so they're like consciously operating with dark forces to mess people up, or to put spells on them and things like that. So they're doing that on purpose. Now, what I've witnessed in this part of the world is that there are people that are vessels for other energies, and they're kind of doing the work like for these forces without even knowing it. All right,
really?
Yeah. So there's because the thing is, the ego. If someone is very, very much in their ego, the ego can be very tempted to listen to these. Like sometimes these illusionary forces can make us feel like we're so weak and we're so vulnerable, and we're not good enough and things like that. The ego can believe that it's an illusionary belief and it makes us weak, or we can believe an illusionary force that's telling us the opposite, which is we're strong and we're but what we're doing is we're actually serving an illusionary forces, illusionary. So how I'm trying to explain this now is that some people are unaware that their ego is being manipulated, and that can have a negative impact on the person that's either receiving a healing and I see it a lot in the people who had like readings from mediums and psychics as well.
Yeah.
People who aren't in check with their ego can be weaving seeds of illusion into people. And actually what that can do is it could be coming from greed. So it could be like, because as a psychic, you know, we could easily if we wanted to, we could easily manipulate someone to come back time and time again. We could tell them what they want to hear, and we could also throw something in around the back to make them feel it. You know, it's because we're putting ourselves in a position where people are coming to us and they're opening themselves up to us because they trust us. And when they're doing that, that enables us, if we haven't got our ego in check, we could actually manipulate that person. And I actually do work now and where I can help people to remove these like curses and like, you know, we call them spells, because basically what they are is someone's just said something out their mouth, an illusion, and you took it on as real, and then that becomes a problem for you.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can, you know, remove that, and I see it quite a lot especially in the spiritual, in the spiritual community. So I think discernment and also listening to our own inner guidance, that if something doesn't feel right about someone who's doing readings, or someone's doing healings, or someone's operating ceremonies in this way, that it's really important that we use our intuition, because if we do give our power away to somebody and then they use that for their own personal gain, then that can be, you know, the opposite of what people are going there for. People are going there to be healed, not to be manipulated further by somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a good point. Just when you mentioned your experiences in Peru, did you have any experiences after that in other countries?
Yeah,
they were a bit from there on.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, so a similar thing. There was a similar thing playing out that I had to deal with that, and there was other people who because I witnessed that with these people. Then I was kind of being given these other trials where I was meeting people who I could see and feel that same energy that I felt with the shamans that I was with in Peru.
Yeah.
So I was like, and these people were. It was more difficult actually, because the people that I was dealing with, or one person in particular that I was dealing with, who came across, you know, not your typical shaman type, you know, not somebody like the, you know, it was more tricky, but the exact same thing happened to me. So this person manipulated me and put like gaslighted me, and I don't know if you heard the term gaslighting. Like it's a form of manipulation, where people will find your wounds, and then they will make you believe that everything's like kind of on you, and then that just can make you ill, or can make you dependent on that person, but that's what was happening to me, and that was somebody who I was working with. I'm not going to say names, but that was another initiation for me as well, and that happened again a couple of years later. And I actually went through a whole year of being divided again, like I did after coming back to the jungle, because I really wanted to believe that this person was good, but deep down I knew my intuition was telling me that they weren't. In a classroom setting with this person teaching, actually Kambo, that I seen what was happening there and how this person was able to manipulate a large group of people at the same time. So that was an initiation itself. That was really difficult to deal with, but I managed to get through it anyway and see the light, and now things have been exposed where it's all come out to the surface, and
just shows this this work isn't easy.
It's what, sorry.
It isn't easy. There's always challenges. And
Yeah,
always things to be faced. And I know, Stephen, we faced a lot, you know, with Purple Mountain, and I'm sure a lot of other people would have. It's not a walk in the park at all. There's always something.
You've got to be very strong.
You have, but like a good piece of advice that I'd have for anybody who's like, you know, finding themselves going through like trials a lot lately, because I know that people will be, because like I said before, we're going through this huge global initiation, and people will be, you know, having a lot of trials. That everything that's happening in your life is happening for you and not to you.
Yeah.
So the reason that I'm saying that is because when you say that everything that's happening in your life is happening for you and not to you, you no longer become the victim. You're no longer playing the role in that illusion. Because when you are the victim to it, you are actually in this illusionary movie. But when you take a step back from it and say, well, this is happening to teach me something, then you're no longer a victim anymore, and you're not playing out that dynamic of being a victim or being an abuser or being a rescuer. And that kind of what I'm talking about here, this abuser, rescuer, and victim paradigm is like they call it the drama triangle. So it's what keeps us stuck. So these are the different roles that can be played out within a certain belief system. So you can either be one of the three, and each one of them feeds off each other, and it keeps them stuck. And that can happen in relationships as well. And it's interesting actually, because through all this experience, I realized that actually even the shamans and the people that I was working with in Peru, these brujos or whatever, I created that because of the imbalances that I had in me. I actually created that because I was a victim. I was inside of me. I was this imbalance that I had. I was a victim, and I was attracting that in. So whatever it is that's inside, an imbalance that needs to heal, we'll attract that. We'll create that experience, so it can play itself out, and then we can see it and we can release it. So it just shows how powerful we are as creators, that whatever it is that we believe in and the belief systems that we have in ourselves actually manifest in our reality.
Yeah, totally.
And I think the initiation is for people to be able to see that that's what's happening. It is possible for us to create a beautiful, peaceful, an amazing world, like a golden era. Again, it is possible for us to do that when we can all reclaim our true self, our own true sovereignty.
Yeah.
Because when we're in that, we can create whatever it is that we want. When we're in the illusions, then that's what we'll create collectively.
Yeah.
Very, very. I mean, you talk quite a bit there about being the creator. Would you sort of explain that a little bit more for people about being your own power and being the creator of, if that makes sense? Would you explain that a little bit more, Lewis?
Yeah. So most people that are listening to this have probably had a look into the secret and things like that, and the law of attraction, and probably have some understanding of what we call karma.
Yeah.
So what's happening with karma is, and like repeated patterns, is that we're creating that to happen. All right, we are in this like interconnected reality that we're in. This quantum reality is that whatever it is that we're reality on, like I'm trying to explain. So like quantum physics, right? Quantum physics shows that these particles only exist when they're being observed. Right. Now let's take ourselves back from that's like on a micro level. Okay, so on a macro level, what's happening is we are observing our reality through the lens of our own belief systems, through the perception of our own belief systems. And then what happens is that what we believe about ourselves will experience in the universe, the reality, this quantum reality that we're in, will create the scenario to confirm that that's what the truth is. It's like in a lucid dream, when we can, if we learn how to wake up in our dreams, we can lucid dream. And in the astral plane, if we learn how to astral travel, is we can do anything that we want to do. We can do absolutely anything.
Very true that, yeah.
You can do anything that you want to do and create. Now, to become a creator is you have to learn how to be able to be awake in the dream. So when we realize that what we're actually in is a lucid dream, this reality is also a lucid dream, is that when we realize that that's what it is, then we can start to create and manifest the reality that we really want. But what we have to do to be able to manifest and create the reality that we really want is we have to separate ourselves from the illusions, because it's the illusions that will keep pulling us back into suffering again. And the illusions, so if we believe an illusion to be true, even if it's not true, then that becomes real to us. Then what will happen is that it's like a program being installed into us, and if we believe it to be true, that's what we will create, and we will put it out there, and we will also project that belief out to other people, and it'll affect other people. So illusion is just as much it's like it's a bit like a virus. Illusion is a bit like a virus, because it affects us, and it can be spread to other people. But just as much like how truth can also be spread to other people as well. Like truth radiates out, and it will, it'll touch any of those that resonate with it. It's like a frequency that goes out, truth, and then people will resonate with it, and then that will become their truth, and then it will feed them. Like, so illusion is like, it keeps us very much, it lowers our energy. Like fear is one of the biggest forms of illusion that keep our energy low, and truth raises our vibration and sends it upwards, and it permeates out. Now, not everybody is ready to accept truth when they've got so much, distortion and illusion within themselves. And what they will do is, as a creator, they will just keep creating the same reality for themselves, because that's all that they know. They don't know how to step away from that. But when we are in our truth and we're on our path, we can create all of the things that we need to fulfill that path. I try my best to explain. I'm not the best at explaining this. It's really hard.
No, you do really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are powerful creators, and like I completely believe that the all of the experiences that I had, now I created.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part. Once you start realizing that we all have that power to create what we experience, recognizing that, you do start to see things as they are. I know I've experienced a little bit of that myself. Yeah. So I think it's.
But do you not think as well, Chris? Sorry, but do you not think as well that once you get rid of those illusions? I mean, I went through it. You think you end up then as well creating another illusion because you feel guilty, don't you? Because you feel, I've created that, I'm responsible for that, and that's part of your healing as well, into taking responsibility, self-responsibility of what you've created. Of the work you've spoken, and how you've been with family and friends, and I've struggled with that when I began that self-healing. The guilt at first, accepting responsibility, and I think that's a lot of people are expecting doctors, nurses, healers to do the work, and ultimately I've learned over the years that. I've discussed this with you in great length, haven't I, Lewis, about holding space, creating that space for that person to heal themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
It is like nobody can be healed. Like, you can't be healed unless you're willing to give up the things that are making you sick. And so you can go to healer, and you can search for healers, you can search for your through readings, constantly searching for somebody to come and save you. All right, nobody can save you apart from yourself. Now, you can, if someone like come to me for healing and I picked up on this pattern, then the last thing that I'm going to do is feed into it. All right, I'm not going to, because what that would do then, if somebody came to me for me to fix them, and I did that, it wouldn't be fixing them, because I'd just be playing a role in their drama paradigm that they're stuck in. I'd be playing the role of the rescuer. And it's very easy for us as healers to play that role. A lot of, I'd probably say 95% of us that have gone into the path of healing or wanting to help people actually have that wound within themselves. But the way that they're playing it out is, instead of being a victim or an abuser, we're actually being the person who wants to rescue somebody. But we can't rescue anybody. All we can do is, like you say, we can hold the container for somebody to heal themselves. But what we're doing is we're being we can be a conduit for healing, because what we're doing is we're just holding a container and making somebody feel safe enough to go into that without projecting any of our own wounds onto that person. Because what can happen, you can fall into what will happen is, if you do fall into that role of being a rescuer, is you'll find that you get very easily drained.
Yes,
people will come and drain from you, and if you are if you've overcome that, you'll find that when you do healing work for people, you feel recharged. Or if you're helping somebody, you'll feel elevated from it. If you're doing healing work or readings for people and you're feeling very drained, it's because you're actually you're playing out that role a little bit of being a rescuer, because that's kind of opening you up to be drained.
Amazing. That's why I think, as a healer, I've really come to learn that these past 12 months, how much energy, how much you have to work on yourself. And that's why a lot of people don't really understand about energy, and they don't understand about this work. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way, that you have to work on yourself, so you're able to hold that space and center yourself and not be drawn into that energy. Because I've done it. We facilitate, that ego stepping in, you're rescuing, and actually you're not. You're just wasting your energy, and you're not actually helping anybody in that process.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is that, like, what I found that probably one of the most difficult trials of going through, these initiations was learning how to figuring out relationships, like relationships with people are constantly showing us where we're not in our alignment. And I realized that you could fall into these patterns of going into the same relationships over and over and over again, and some people just can't understand why do I get myself into the same situation? Why do these things keep happening? Claim your sovereignty. Realize that this is your creation. And I have had backlash from this before. I remember I've had a few, some of the things that I post on Facebook and things like that are quite controversial sometimes, and I do get a little bit of backlash. It's great. It gets people thinking, gets people talking, which is what
that's all about.
But if we believe that we are a victim, if we believe that all of these things, why do they keep happening to me, you will never get out of that pattern, and you will always end up having the same things happening to you. When you reclaim that you're not now, the thing is, when you're in a relationship with somebody, right, everybody will go through a phase where they will feel like they're being the victim. Everyone will play out that role of why are they being like that to me, or whatever. But actually, what they're doing is they're just showing you where you are not healed. They're showing you where you are still not in your alignment. Because the thing is, what opens us up to abuse and to toxic relationships is codependency or conditional love. It's like when we go into a relationship and we feel that we want our partners, or we want them to give us something. Then what we're doing is we're actually showing what will happen is in that relationship, we will be shown where we're not giving that love to ourselves. And that might play out in a way where we feel like we're being victimized by that person. Or it could even get the schism, or the imbalance could even get that far where we become a victim that much that the other person in the relationship then becomes an abuser.
Yeah.
Now, this is something, it is a controversial subject. I know that, but I know that it's true from experience myself, because I've even found myself in some relationships becoming that victim role. And the deeper and deeper that I've fell into that victim role, the worse and worse the behavior of the other person. And I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. And then as soon as I realize, oh, no, I'm seeing what's playing out here, and I censor myself and step away from being that victim role, it all starts to stop again. I'm like, oh, I'm like constantly creating these scenarios all the time. So in relationship, we're all just responding to each other's energies. So if we are in the victim energy, what will happen is, it's like energetically, we've got this signpost on our head saying, I'm a victim, terrorize me. Or I'm a victim, treat me like a victim. Basically, that's what we're like asking to do that to us. And now this isn't even happening on a conscious level whatsoever. This is all, like interconnected quantum thing that's playing out here, where like, when we identify with a certain role, like I am the victim, this person is to blame for this, then what we will experience in our life is exactly that. We'll experience ourselves being the victim and everyone else is to blame, and then we'll be stuck in that pattern. So I just think that I think that relationships can, quite often become toxic when we aren't able to align ourselves. But also they can be our greatest teachers.
You talk about relationships not just with partners, but also with friends and family as well.
Friends and family, definitely. 100%. All relationships teaching us something.
Always, yeah. I found that as you progress, as you sort of progress and work on yourself, I've learned over the years, I've been drawn away from, and you have as well, haven't you, Chris, even within the Purple Mountain, and not dismissing why we're friends, but how sometimes we can drift away. Because as you progress and you work on yourself, you're no longer drawn to that energy, like, isn't it? That
absolutely.
We
it's
both
like a natural progression. But I think it was interesting point you made, Lewis, at the beginning, when you said sometimes when we post things through Facebook or speaking our truths, they're not always what everybody wants to hear. But that's a role in a way of any light worker, is to speak your truth.
Yeah.
And it's not always about giving people, like we said, what they want to hear.
It's rescuing then, isn't it? That's what the thing is, truth can be painful for people's ego. It can be very painful, because if somebody presents you with a truth, and a truth about a belief system that you've been carrying your entire life, something that you've based your entire identity on, and then somebody presents that as an illusion, it's going to be painful. But ultimately, it doesn't matter how painful it is at the time, the truth will set you free. And I really, this is a saying that I really, stand by. It's like the truth will set you free.
Yeah,
absolutely. But then you'll have people as well, Lewis. I mean, I know we talk about a film here, but when we talk about the Matrix, you'll have people. Then they are so plugged into that system that they will do anything to protect it as well, won't they? They will do anything to keep that illusion in place.
Yeah. The thing is, there's a really good quote by Carl Jung. We will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing the depths of our own soul. So, and that goes as far as some people will even commit suicide before facing the actual truth about something.
Absolutely.
That's how far the mind will drive us to go, if to protect what it believes.
Absolutely.
So do you want to ask anything else, Chris?
I think just we've touched on a few things that sort of the situation we find ourselves in now. I'm just what sort of guidance could you give people at the minute who might be sort of struggling with what's occurring in the world?
Yeah. The best advice that I would give is to not watch the TV.
Yeah, that's the best one.
I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories and 5G and all that, because I don't think that's helpful either, if I'm honest with you. You know, and anything that's going to allow fear into your being, stay clear. Because the thing is, what people don't seem to understand is that spiritually, when we are clear away from fear, our being is fucking fantastic at healing itself. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic to keep our, you know, to protect ourselves from any kind of pathogens or any bullshit, any kind of fucking, you know, like someone, you know, projections from people, protecting ourselves from, you know, potential diseases and things like that. The best thing for us to do is to be happy within ourselves, and to be happy within ourselves, we have to switch off from all of the, you know, this, what's happening on a global level is there is fear coming from every single avenue, and it's like, whoa, it's like a bombardment of it. As soon as I turn it on, I'm like, you know, I have switched it on and I thought I'll have a little listen to that. I'm like, within a couple of minutes, I'm like, I can't handle that. It's awful. Yeah. And now that's not, and I do really, really do, you know, understand that people are going to be concerned about this. You know, when, you know, potentially, you know, loved ones can be, you know, could be harmed by that. Now, that doesn't, I'm not trying to say to anybody, don't take precautions and things like that. You know, keep your distance with people if you want to and things like that. But this whole like fear, paranoia, terror, like where we should stay inside, is going to have the complete. It's not going to. You're more likely to get it if you're paranoid, if you're afraid. Get yourself outside in the in nature. Nature just healing us all the time. The Earth's energies are constantly healing us. You know, even if people aren't spiritually minded and have spiritual belief systems, you can't deny that going for a walk through the woods or, you know, being outside doesn't heal them. You know, it does. It cleans our energy. We need to be out getting outside. We need to be exposing ourselves to the sun. And yeah, so the best advice would be to just stay away from anything that's going to promote any fear.
I mean, it's incredible how, since we've gone through this period of time, how we've had quite incredible weather. The weather's been lovely.
It's been beautiful.
It's like Mother Earth's way of sort of balancing things out, saying, you know, so we've been able to get outside. It's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm actually so grateful right now for like all of these experiences that I've been through in the past, because this situation that we're going through does not faze me in the slightest. I am not one little bit afraid of this virus whatsoever. You know, I am convinced, right, and I know how powerful of a creator I am through my experiences, that I am not going to get this virus.
Yeah,
like, I'm not going to get it. And you know, and my belief around it all is that people should be allowed to just go back to doing what they're doing and not be afraid about it. But you know, that's my belief.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think the best advice would be to stay away from fear.
Yeah.
And, you know, be kind to yourself, eat nutritious food, you know, vitamins, get yourself outside in nature. And just crack on.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Here.
I don't know if have you got any more questions, Stephen?
Just, I was going to ask Lewis about the virus and stuff, but I think you really touched on it. I think you can, like you said, with conspiracy, I think you just go through a rabbit hole, and I think you just put it very simply: stay away from the fear, but be mindful also what's happening. Use your common sense, use your intuition, center yourself, and I think it's brilliant. You've done a brilliant explanation tonight, Lewis.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions? So if anybody who's been watching got any questions they'd like to ask Lewis, then please, I think there's a lady there. If anybody wants a treatment, Lewis, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so they can contact me through Facebook if they wanted to, or they can contact me by email. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, maybe you can add a little thing on our page, and we can link anybody who wants any information. We'll send the details to Lewis.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you want to add anything else, Lewis? Anything that you would like to sort of share with everybody tonight?
No, I think that's it. It was a nice conversation.
Have you enjoyed the experience?
Yes.
It's great. I think it's a great platform to bring. I was speaking to Chris about it. We're very lucky that as the Purple Mountain is progressing, I don't think, as we've worked on ourselves, you've come to our lives. You've come to the Purple Mountain to help us and to bring things together. And I think that's. I don't mind being very open about that. You know, and hopefully it will just go from strength to strength with the spiritual work. Try to help people, guide people, inspire people.
That's it. Well, the thing is we're all what we are as the beings that we are. Is we're receivers and transmitters of light, and that's what I want to encourage people to do, is to transmit light to each other, transmit truth. Support each other, support communities, building communities of truth and light and support, and to just to be conscious and to be conscious of what it is that we're projecting to each other. Now, we can see on the news how these fears are being projected outwards. You can feel it coming from the news. You're like, whoa! It's like, fear. We're being terrorized by fear, and it's important that we try not to spread that, because the biggest virus that as a species collectively we're affected by is fear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's a lot, and fear kills a lot more people. Fear causes a lot more wars. Fear causes, the amount of people who've been killed by fear is beyond. It makes coronavirus look like a grain of sand in the desert.
I know.
How many people are actually awakening? I find so many more people are waking up to this truth. Into Lewis, I feel the light's been spread. It is spreading. I do feel that within the community.
Yeah,
more people are waking up. I find that quite hopeful. I feel.
It is. It's hopeful, and it's great actually to see all the people that I've been working with. Like on medicine journeys and the retreats that I do, and people who have been doing the work over the last few years are just in this really nice space right now.
Yeah,
they're just like, people are just so like not fazed by all this at all, because we've all been doing this like difficult personal work, and like the ones that seem to have their shit together. And like cracking on with the normal lives, or like their whole foundations of what they believe reality to be just falling apart. And like like I'm like, yes, this is great, but because to see them going through this like sort of like suffering, but actually what's actually happening is they're just going through this like collective tower moment.
Yeah, no. That myself and Stephen have been very grateful for the last 2 to 3 years that we've been experiencing a lot of the plant medicine work and the work with Lewis into a med. It certainly served us well, teaching us in this period of time, and we've passed it on to all our friends at the Purple Mountain. I'm pleased we've been able to do this video so they could all sort of make that connection with you as well. I'm sure that curiosity they would have had.
Really huge gratitude.
And the other great analogy in a video that you did just early on when we started just before the lockdown was that this is like a giant ayahuasca process that we're going through collectively, and it just made so much sense to me. That
it is. That's how I see it. So it's great for me because it's like when I'm holding ceremonies for people and people are like, oh, going through like all this stuff. Like going, yeah, in a couple of hours you're going to be like dancing, like blissful. I can see that. I like
Absolutely.
I really feel that there's going to be another few years of this, you know, the tough part of the journey, and then I feel that, you know, we are really going to start to collectively wake up, because the thing is, the truth, enough people are radiating and transmitting this truth. It's going to spread. It's going to spread, and it's going to, we're raising the vibration. But the thing is, what happens is when we raise the vibration and more people experiencing truth, is all of these deeply buried distortions are going to have to come up to the surface. And, you know, there is going to be a great purge. Like I said, it's going to be like a huge ayahuasca ceremony for the world.
Yeah,
but it's easy into a lot of people are, you know, like you said, watching TV, getting angry, getting frustrated. I think you just got to send your love and your light out, and I think we're going to go with the ride, aren't we? We're going to get through it together. We will do it.
We will, and the us that are in our truth at the moment, we're the ones that need to hold space for the rest of us. So we can do that collectively. So I like to see it as how, like, you know, we're talking about as if the, you know, what's going on in the world is like an ayahuasca ceremony. Well, actually, we're the shamans. We're the healers who need to hold that space for everybody else to go through that. And to do that, we have to be in our truth, in our power, and you know, and show how we cannot be affected by the illusions that are being projected onto us from, you know, powers that be. Not even going to give them the energy they deserve.
yeah,
they don't deserve that recognition. So I think that, yeah, it's just important for us to recognize the power within ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's so important. I mean, not saying we did a bit of spiritual work this morning, didn't we, Chris? And it was all about advising that person to believe in themselves, know, sit in your own power, trust what you are feeling. I think it's been amazing tonight, Lewis. I think you've inspired a lot of people tonight. It's been wonderful. And I think we'll all say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for supporting us, and thank you for supporting Lewis.
Could I just mention, just before we finish, sorry, Stephen, to interrupt, but I don't know if you want to mention, Lewis, about the event you're part of on the Saturday the 13th, is it in June?
Yes, so on Saturday the 13th of June, there's going to be an online symposium with me and another group of healers, visionaries, psychics that are, and channelers that are from different parts of the world that I have been very much connected with on my journey, and it's helped me a lot. And the group is called the Pantheon of Eternam. Okay, and I'll post a little link to that. And this group has helped me a lot on my journey and helped me to connect with my purpose and path. And the lady who runs this group is called Barbara, and she channels the light of the god Thoth. And it's been this higher being has been really powerful. I had a really powerful impact on my life recently over the last 2 years. So what's happening now is me and this other group of people are going to be getting together on this online symposium to give people, to share light with people, to share truth, and to guide people on their journeys. And we all have different angles and approaches to come from. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So I'll also put that in the link to that in the comments as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. So, add anything else, anybody?
Anybody?
Fantastic.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, well, I'll say goodbye to everybody. Good night. God bless. Love. Bye.
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 So,
is it gone?
yes.